Welcome back to another supporter stream. Hopefully I'm in focus. I had to mess around with the cameras a lot. Let me double check myself again one more time. There you go. Perfect. No, wait, hold on. All right, that looks better. All right. Yeah, I was running a little bit late, and I let my laptop go into, hold on. I gotta log back into that. I let my laptop screen go blank because I'm waiting for it to finish doing something, and then I need to shut it down right away. It looks like it's got 5 minutes, so someone remind me of that. Storm's up here in the... Oh, let me unmute everybody. There you go. Storm's up here, and of course I just make it up into Erie, and it's calling for snow all day tomorrow. I just spent the whole winter in the south to avoid that. But, oh well. How you guys doing? You guys all have snow too, right?
Oh, I got dumped on up here. Holy monkey. Schools have been closed. The roads were nasty. My neighbor up the hill, her power's out because of a tree. It's been a mess.
Joy.
Yeah.
Dan, did we get our microphone situation figured out yet? I don't think so. How you doing, Salvo?
Not yet.
I'm doing good.
All right. Yeah, Dan's microphone's not working, so
yeah,
figure that out. Is this? I was going to ask Dan a question. Is this a new microphone or not? I don't remember. He was having an issue with the old one. So, well, we want to talk today about the Linux backdoor. It was originally just on my list for the weekly news roundup, but it was just become bigger and bigger. And then I think some people actually blew it a little more out of proportion than it actually is. Now, if it wasn't caught, yeah, it would be one of the single most amazing computer disasters since HAL took over in Space Odyssey. But since it was caught before it really went live, we got good mitigation on it. And so that's good news. And so we did want to go ahead and chat about it. And I have a lot of stuff opened up. We just got a new article out today, I believe. I guess it was yesterday. I did not get a chance to read this one yet. So we'll read it together if our panelists haven't had a chance to scan it. I just dropped it in the system shortly ago. So we'll see what that looks like. But how's it going otherwise? Salbo, do you have snow over there?
No, where I live, the snow has melted away almost a month ago. But in the southern Norway, the part where that got 7 feet of snow in 2 or 3 days, they got maybe 2 feet of snow just yesterday. Mm-hmm. And it's chaos again because some people have already switched to summer tires because, yeah. And there was an article interview by one of the residents who just 2 days prior had taken out the lawnmower and was planning to mow the lawn the day after, and then it came 2 feet of snow, so he just packed that back in.
Oh boy, well, gotta get the snowblower back out again. All right, let's go ahead and get to the Linux backdoor.
And just, maybe I heard Dan scratching his microphone, so maybe if you see
Dan. Ooh,
yes.
we hear microphone scratching, Dan.
Yeah, all this stuff shows that it's going out on my end.
All right,
yeah,
we got you now.
There you go.
Sweet. How's it going, Dan?
How's it going? Well, it's going okay. I kind of just rushed in here. I had to go pick up my beast from the Chevy garage.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I got new shoes.
Sweet. Yeah, so that means now you're like, where's all the money gone?
Right, about $1,000's worth.
Yeah, mine are about $250 a pop. So, yikes! Fortunately, I just did that, and all 4 tires now are pretty good and pretty new. So, we are going to get to the comments a little after the show. So, we'll get to those, but let's go ahead and get in since we're a little late to start with the content here. So what this first we have to praise where praise is due. A Microsoft engineers who found this. So way to go, Microsoft engineer.
I think his name is Anders Freund. I think his name is.
Yeah, and I think that the OpenWall security report is the first instance we got of this. I think this is the case. So then naturally I pulled that one up and read through that. So what he was doing is he was doing some debugging on SSH, and he found that after doing an update in Debian Unstable, that being Crazy Kid Sid, he was noticing that SSH was taking, I think, 4 times longer to do things than it was supposed to. And he's like, well, what's going on with that? And in examining it, he finds a bug which was traced back to the XZ utils, which is a Linux package that manipulates your tarballs and things like that.
Yeah, it's an alternative to bzip and zip and rar and so on.
Yeah,
it's a compression utility.
Yeah, so he finds this, and what's interesting is that this package doesn't directly relate to SSH, but it moves a processing tunnel through systemd. So I've always said on this channel, if somebody can actually point me legitimate issues of systemd, I'd be glad to talk about those. We have a legitimate issue with systemd because to use SSH, it wires some things through systemd, which connects to the XZ utils. And this package, what it was doing is it was pulling in extra binaries. Now, this appears to be a state-sponsored long game plan supply chain hack. They were working on this for over 2 years, and then they used a combination of social engineering and good old-fashioned modern leftist bullying to make it happen. And I'm going to interpret it that way for reasons we're going to illustrate here in a bit. But looking at Andrus's original thoughts, he's basically just examines it, and he's looking at the libzima package. This is the one that systemd is manipulating through Debian. Not through every distribution, but through Debian. Now, Arch has said that it does not use this package at all. So even if you have the vulnerable versions of this software on Arch, you're probably okay. Although the Arch team says you should update or downgrade whatever is easier for your case immediately. But Arch apparently is not impacted. Now, as the reports came out about this, everyone was saying this impacts nearly every Linux distribution, and that is actually not even true. Now, Ubuntu is pushing its initial release of the beta out because of it, but even in the daily builds, this was not a prominent package inside of daily builds. I think they said it was only in like 1 version or something. So the only distributions we know of that were actually impacted were beta releases of, I think, Fedora, and I think there was Fedora and Debian.
Yeah, Debian Seed.
What's that?
Yeah, Debian Seed.
Debian Seed. Yeah, not a beta, but a Debian Seed.
Yeah, and any derivatives of Debian that is a rolling release are vulnerable to this.
Yeah. So anything that was using
more like an alpha.
Yeah. So Fedora 40 and 41 in the current developer editions. Now, Fedora 40 beta was just released a couple days ago. That ships with a version that is not vulnerable. When you first run it and update it, it will update to the vulnerable version. So whoops. Don't do that. So they're saying if you have not updated a Debian 40, a Fedora 40 recently, don't push the updates. I checked all of my systems. All my systems are still on 5.4x, which is perfectly fine. So what you're looking for is the package XZ, and you're looking for versions 5.60 or 5.61. you can boot up a terminal in nearly every Linux distribution, type in XZ space -- version, and it will tell you the version of the software you're running. If you're running 5.60 or 5.61, that is the mystery one, but I'm actually getting ahead of my notes because that's step 4. I'm still on step 1, outlining the bug and what happened. So this guy here, he just kind of goes through all of the processes of it, but this Wired article was the best overall write-up that I had read, and I read a number of these because this one really illustrated how it happened, where I say it's a good old-fashioned social engineering plus bullying is literally how this occurred. Obviously,
what was
Microsoft,
the versions again?
What's that? 5.6.0, 5.6.1.
Okay, because I got 5.4.
Yeah, that one's safe.
Yeah, they rolled because so what Debian is doing and all the other releases are doing, they are falling back to 6.4. And Debian is actually considering going back to 6.3.2.
Yeah, I think Arch is actually doing a 6.5.2-1 and fixing it.
We'll
get to that.
So everyone is scrambling. So Debian has a big bug thread about this when they first got it. And
yeah, I'm going to pull all those up. So let me get through the first part of the outline, and then we'll get into the technicals and things. So let's do that, and then we'll get into how each of the distros are going to respond, because I actually have Arch linked all of the other distros' responses to this, and we'll pull those up and have a look at each one of those in more detail. So again, the XZ Utils tool is involved in lossless data encryption. And then here's what happened is, what the backdoor is going to do is it's going to allow a malicious actor to have a static, basically a baked-in authentication key that they can utilize SSH on and get into any machine that they want anywhere in the world running any of these and do anything they want. That's how critical this is. This is like a good old-fashioned CVE 10.0, like 10. We need a new scale. So how does this occur? Well, in 2021, so we're going back a number of years now, a user named JIAT75 made a commit to an open source project which changed the libarchive project. And basically what they did is they replaced a safe print with a version that is recognized as not as secure. And nobody really questioned that. A year later, they come in, they submit another patch on the mailing list, and then another participant comes in, Jigar Kumar, joined the discussion, and these two basically complained that the original maintainer of XZ Utils had not been updating software fast enough. So these two people are effectively complaining and leading a mutiny against the lead developer. And they jumped in and took over some control and started patching these tools, which was able to get these in. And then these same people then go out and they start arguing that other distributions, Ubuntu and Red Hat and Debian, are not merging the new versions of the software into their OSs. And so what ended up happening is Debian merged it over into SID, and that is when the Microsoft engineer spotted it. And so effectively, these guys are over here doing a hostile takeover of the project. And that basically using social engineering and bullying type tactics is why I use that word, which is an opt word for how they pushed their malicious version on these different packages. Now, Red Hat doesn't do the same process. They kind of bypassed how this was working anyway. Ubuntu never put it into the main builds, although they experimented with it a little bit, but had never made its way into any official builds. So it basically happened over a longer period of time. Now, this is the article. Did anybody get a chance to scan this other one? Who is this person yet?
Yeah, I just browsed quickly through it, but just one point to the timeline of things. The official maintainer, I don't remember his name at the top of my head. He has said officially after this happened that this Jiatan character, he had silently in the background, so between the two of them with no mailing list or no public, he had been suggesting things to do. So he was actually helping the maintainer to do stuff, stuff that was actually correct. There were a few a few bug fixes and so on. So he had started to gain his trust in behind the scenes. And this other character, Kumar, was the one that started making noises about this is old and blah blah blah.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, that's very interesting way to get into a project. Now, what they say is it was believed to be more nation state. Again, this article, I just discovered this article just before going on, so I didn't get a chance to read it yet. So I'll have a chance to read through this. Maybe we'll cover this a little bit in the weekly news roundup tomorrow in either the Linux, probably the Linux section. So we'll go ahead and look at that. With that, what we want to do is talk about the vulnerabilities in the different Linux distributions. I think that's next on my list, right? I'm just making a copy of that article there that's on the screen there so I can actually read it tonight. So that's kind of how it has happened. Now, it is not as widespread as some people were reporting. Some people are like, this is affecting every distribution, and that's actually not really true. Now, Red Hat issued a security alert for Fedora 40 and 41. 40 just dropped beta, and 41 is in a pre-alpha state. So this one, the beta, or just leading up to the beta, did have some vulnerability in Fedora 40. So they were saying if anybody's using 40, make sure that you're patching it correctly. And they actually initially were telling us just go back to the 5.4x versions. They might have a 5.6, further version that's patched by now. But just be aware if you're using one of the developer builds of Fedora, that is one of the distributions that was impacted. Arch came out. They explained it a little bit, and they say the malicious code does not exist in the Arch version of SSHD, as it does not link to libzamima. That is the package that is interfacing with systemd. However, they are advising to avoid the vulnerable code in case it's triggered by something else that is not yet identified. And so Arch, despite it may have 5.6.0 or 5.6.1, they're saying is not impacted, but they do have 5.6.1-2, which mitigates it, and then they have patched that upstream. Now, what then they did from here is they went ahead and they linked everybody else's. So let me pull up a couple of these guys here. I didn't even look at Alpine's yet. We're already looking at that one. We're looking at that. Here's Gen 2. No, I'm not, except all this thing doesn't save cookies. Take that. So in Ubuntu, what they're doing is the affected version was only in a Noble proposed and was removed before migrating to Noble itself. No release versions of Ubuntu were affected. So none of these were affected at all. Down to Manic, and then upstream it needs some triage. So they're looking at that. Again, here's where you see the base score is 10. 10. Holy crap, we need a new scale. That is where Ubuntu stance is. So that's good news if you're running Ubuntu or Zorin or Linux Mint or Linux Lite, anything based on the Ubuntu core, any of those.
Yeah, what I had read out of the Wired article too is this this vulnerability not only has the ability to get into your system and actually execute damage and stuff like that, it also has root access to absolutely everything.
Yeah. I just need to respond to this text real quick.
So regarding what type of systems this was targeted, the backdoor, they have been analyzing it. So Ars Technica had an article out a few days ago where they are in detail analyzing the script that is being when they figured out how to do that. So it checks that it is running. So this happens during the compile stage of this XZ utility, and it checks that it is running on an x86 system. If you don't, then nothing happens. And if you are compiling on an x86, it checks if one or either the GCC or the CC compiler utils are present, and if none of those are present, again nothing happens. And then it specifically checks for the GNU LD utility is present, and then the final check is: are you building this are you building a Debian package or an RPM package? All of those criteria have to be present. So if you are just compiling this on Arch or even compiling it on Debian, but you are not creating a Debian package, the backdoor is not installed.
Debian and RPM are they're not the same, but they're similar because there's quite a few RPM to Deb package converters and vice versa out there on GitLab.
Yeah, and what it another article that I can't find at the moment, but I read it. The thing that is dangerous, which is that the backdoor is a public SSH key that is bundled into compiling SSH. So this means that there is a specific actor that is trying to gain access to either all servers in order to make some fun, or if this is a state actor, they are targeting a specific system that is running a Debian or RPM-based Linux.
Yeah, I think I had that detail in the the first Wired article we had. But yeah, that's basically what it's going to do. Is it's going to hardwire in a key. So that in theory, they might, as he says, as Selby says here, they might be targeting a specific computer. Like it's the same thing. The computer worm that was specifically targeting the Iranian nuclear facility was literally affecting every computer around the world as a means to spread itself to get into there. But it would only actually do anything if it found itself on that one particular computer. So that's kind of what they were doing.
Yeah, and they were specifically targeting Windows.
But in this particular instance, it looks as though the circumstances are such that they could get in here and do anything with any system, is how it is apparently proposed. Not for sure, but...
And also this Microsoft developer, the thing that made him notice this was he was doing so he had updated his I think it was a Debian system that he was using. There was some updates to the system, one of which was the XZ utility and SSH and so on. And after the update, maybe a couple of days after, he was running micro benchmark of the PostgreSQL server, and so also his system, all the script kiddies are trying to break in using dictionary attacks and trying. And the login times were increased from 0.2 something milliseconds to 0.5 or something milliseconds.
Yeah, and I have that on the screen now.
And the increased login times, the increased time for the failure message to show up on the users was interfering with his benchmarking, which led him to start debugging SSH.
Yep. Yeah, so it went from the real time went from 0.299 using the old 5.4x to 0.8 using the newer 561.
Yeah. So I said to the chat, one of the Linux chat rooms that, or maybe in your message server, I don't remember, that this proves that benchmarking is good for something.
Yeah, there you go. I've been tempted lately to upgrade the RAM in my computer, but I'm like, I can't find, like, RAM prices have come down so much from when I built the computer, but I can't find the same clock speed because my clock speed is super slow. Apparently, maybe I should just buy a whole new set. I don't know, but I'm just like, I'm gonna save the money, not worry about it. This computer is not doing bad for me. So over on Debian, they're looking at the source package XZ utils. Obviously 5.2 down through Buster, Bullseye. Bookworm has 5.4 and Sid and Trixie has 5.6, but they've actually mitigated that back down to 5.4.5 just to fix all those. So it's not affected at all in Buster, Bullseye, or Bookworm. So any stable version of Debian you're running is not going to be infected. But the newer version, they have mitigated it. So if you are running a newer version, a test or a SID or a rolling of Debian, you want to make sure that you paying close attention to that and make sure you have the correct version. OpenSUSE, I believe they are just across the board, not affected. So OpenSUSE, you should be fine over there. Alpine's the one I didn't look at today. I looked at almost all of them. So,
and also in the Debian bug tracker, the Debian bug thread, one of the Debian developer packages, he had cloned the Git repo because the GitHub repo was taken down, and the account of both the original developer and the attacker had been suspended. For the time being, but he has his own Git repository on his own server where only he has access, but it's the same code. So the one of the Debian developers, Joey or something, he cloned that official repo, and he has pointed it back to the last commit before the new guy showed up. So Debian might actually, it looks like they are working to go back to 5.3 point something, because they are not sure if the code that this new developer supplied, because it looks fine, but they're not sure and they're not taking any chances.
Yeah, that's a really good plan for Debian to do that. Oh, come on. OBS fit. Oh, my Lord. Okay, I think we're back. Are we back?
Yeah, Rumble started going again.
Okay,
okay.
Here we go.
I think we are back. All right. Sorry about that. OBS went a little wonky on me.
Yep, we're good.
Let's see. We should be back. Are we back on all streams?
Looks like we are.
Okay, sweet. Nothing dropped. Cool. Odyssey over here is still spinning for me, but if it's good for you guys.
Yep, it's good.
Am I running Wayland again? No. All right. Yeah, for whatever reason, Odyssey's not working for me right now. There you go. Okay, I think it's back. Okay, all right. Okay, where was I? I was at Gentoo. That's the thing. I started talking about Gentoo, and OBS is like, I'm out of here, yo.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was saying there's a whole book down here to read. So if you're running Gentoo, hopefully you know what's going on with it. I'll leave it to you to figure it out. I think that's probably a small subset of my viewers. So basically the point is, the final thing we had here is, if double check your system, pull up a terminal, type in XZ space -- version. If you're running 5.6.0 or 5.6.1, you're going to want to check the forums of your distribution and see, do you need to upgrade the package or do you need to downgrade the package? You might downgrade it to 5.4x, or you might upgrade it to something greater than 5.6.1. It might be like a 5.6.1-2, or Alpine does R2. So what's really cool, what we are seeing here, is that the response by the Linux community doing the development stuff is good. Of course, I am not on the wrong screen. I'm going to hopefully up the screen. There we are. Hey, I think we're back. It's been a weird day for this. All right. Hopefully the show survives. Yeah, I went over to my main screen instead of our dual panel screen. So whoops. Too many sources inside of my OBS. I got lots of stuff going on over here. But yeah, OBS took a bed. So all right, I think that was our content. Anything else we want to cover before we get into our comments?
This infiltration happened because the attacker was exploiting the normal modus of how you start contributing to a project. Because he when you are wanted to help a project, you start by doing little things and sending either a patch or an issue thread and some examples of code, or you and do a pull request of some small things, maybe fixing documentation problems, which was what happened in this case. Small steps in order to gain trust, in order to show this main developer that this new guy actually know what he's talking about, which he did in this case. And then a lot of the code that the developer has said that a lot of the code that was contributed was good code. So he, in order to build trust, and he started by adding changes which introduced a compile error on a test. So the test was disabled because of some reason that because the developer thought was a good reason in order to disable a specific test. And this test, it turned out, was actually triggered because there was a code present that could introduce a backdoor, which happened 2 years after this point.
Yeah.
So the backdoor didn't show up until he added some test files in March of this year, I think.
Yep. Yeah, it's March 29th, I think, is when the original malicious...
It's really interesting. We freak out over one backdoor when Windows has got many of them and nobody cares.
Yeah, but that's all proprietary. Nobody can do anything about it anyway. All right, let's check in on our comments. We got 31 watching on the tubies. Got Bailey Fleming. Hello. Dark Horse. How's it going there? Used hardballs. No good. That's right. How you doing there, Mark, by the way? You're muted, by the way. So, Manjaro Gnome got an XZ patch a couple days ago. Yeah, you should be good to, particularly on Manjaro, you're probably good. Both of my Arch systems are running 5.4, but I also don't think I've updated either of my Arch systems for a while. Except my Pine phone, which killed itself on the last update. I'm just like, I don't have time to deal with you right now. So I was going to do Manjaro next on the Pine phone reviews, but Manjaro blew itself up again. So if I can get that fixed in a short period of time, but I also have a pile of client work to do. And so I gotta focus on that rather than try and fix the Pine phone right now. Besides, I can always throw that Parse Market OS in there and it'll be just fine. So I
saw a comment a few days ago when I was reading through the comments and mailing lists in order to read up on this. There was one of those who a developer. I think he was a Debian developer or something, and he was running the unstable in order to debug and so on. But he hadn't updated. He doesn't update every week, maybe once a week or every other week. And he commented that for once it he is lucky that it turns out that not updating every day is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Let's see. Ratmar, hello. Greetings, Pagan Ducks. Fresno, the Linux gamer. Who's the Linux gamer? I'm not a Linux gamer. Hey man, I still play Warcraft 3. And no, I have not agreed to Blizzard's terms of service. I have patch 127 before all that nonsense happened. Suck at Blizzard. I'm going to keep playing your game that I bought a long time ago. You can't take my game away. And I will not agree to your terms of service either. You know, if you do a... if you do this, the cinnamon video, I will have a look at that. Like I said, I am absolutely confident you can still pull that off because I am running a production 21.3 and my panel still works the exact same way. So I will get the instructions out for that. That might be something. Maybe I can do that quickly for Saturday because it'll be a quick video. Because I am so far behind on client work right now. It is crazy. Not Arch, not a rolling distros, Gen 2. Yeah, it's just because Arch utilizes SSH differently than Debian does. Spent $500 a year since COVID with my little RAV4. There you go. Come on, man. This isn't the fault of systemd. It may not be. It's maybe just how systemd is going to work. So, it's a good thing I don't update Arch 6 months at a time. I know that's where I'm at sometimes. I probably need to push my updates. Of course, I'm running Endeavor, so I don't push updates because Endeavor somehow makes itself less stable than Arch. Every time it's like, ooh. I think more unstable is the Pine phone running Manjaro. We got hit by this hack, or they pretty much catch it. They caught it before the chaos started. Yep.
Yeah, and he was really unlucky. This actor that they didn't check that the login times on SSH wasn't affected, which triggered all of this.
Don't run the malware to check the version. Salvo, you might know the answer to this one better than I would. Just doing this version check doesn't run it, right?
So Brody Robertson had a video about this, and I didn't think of it until he commented on it. And he said that if there is a program that you suspect is a malware of some kind, don't run the malware in order to make it tell you the version, because it might lie about what version it is. So use his suggestion is to use the package manager version, the package manager, in order to check what version you have installed.
Okay, so on Arch that'd be let's see, what's the version? What's the Pacman version to check the version? Pacman command to check the version. Do you know?
I have no idea. I don't use Arch, by the way.
How about an apt?
Apt list and -- installed, and then you grep for the package that you are checking for which version you have installed. So apt space
it gave me nothing.
So apt space list space -- installed. And if you run only that, it will give you all the packages that are installed and which version they are.
Yeah. Interesting. Because on Linux Mint it's called XZ utils, not XZ.
Yeah, so I'm also just I'm grepping for the package name. So I pipe it to grep and XZ, which will give me everything called XZ. or which have XZ anywhere in the.
Yeah, you can just do X star as well. So I'm running 5.2. That's how long ago this computer's been updated. So this, I mean, I keep this one. I don't update this one intentionally for that reason. Yes, that is a good call then. Solstice. Yes, that is a good thing to think about. And usually you should do your take on how other distros tackle Cinnamon. That would be a neat video, because Cinnamon's one that out of the box, it's one of the ones that out of the box, it's not really pretty. Linux Mint does an excellent job with it. Manjaro does a good job with it. Most other distros I've seen, they don't do a real good job with it. The Ubuntu Cinnamon version, outside the very first test version, that one was fairly abysmal, but once they went into actual production with it, that actually looks really good too. So
there is a comment
I have Cinnamon installed by Debian, and it's a version back from what probably Mint's using. But I use some of the theme stuff to install outside themes, like I use for the panel at the bottom. I use Cinemax Rhino. That looks really nice. There's some other really nice desktop things you can get by using your theme settings.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. I'm actually on my Endeavor OS system. I actually use Star Labs themes, which works really good. Although I'm on an old version of that, I should upgrade that. Greg says, "Is it frowned upon to drink booze during the stream?" Hey, you do you, man. I don't care.
Like there's a comment. There's a comment on Odyssey that I thought was interesting. Muon said that he's asking that people are now saying that Linux has a problem, and what the best counter to do that kind of statement. To which my answer is, this proves why the development model of open free software and open source is the best way to go forward, because the code is open, everyone can inspect and figure out why, in this case, XZ SSH used so long in order to give an error message or log you in.
Yeah, the biggest problem with Windows is, since it's closed code, people don't know there's a problem. Whereas something that is an open system like Linux, we know that the code is regularly audited. Like, this guy's just a developer, just a tinkerer who noticed something that seemed out of place and went to investigate and discovered a long-running state actor. If that same state actor was trying to pull that off using Windows software, he would have been successful, because nobody can access the code like we can in Linux. Yeah. We can't track back. We can't see all the things. Go ahead, Mark.
Having good bug reporting on a distro is something that's very important, that most people don't pay attention to until there's a real issue and they need help. But sometimes it's better to report the bug and not just go on the forums to rely on people to help you with your issues, because
and this is also one of the things that the Microsoft developer did when he investigated this and got really to the bottom of this before he notified anyone. And then when he discovered that this was a backdoor in the compression utility, he deliberately did not notify the upstream developer, because he didn't know whether he could trust them or not, because either their account was infiltrated, which was one of the suspicions initially, which turns out not to be the case. So he opened a bug report on Debian, I think, and then the mailing list that you found initially.
Yeah. Somebody asked, do I have flashing lights behind me? No. So there's something in the camera with the lighting. Something is off on the phasing on my lights and the camera. Something is picking up weird. We actually had to adjust the lighting a little bit just before the stream, because if I turn this up for some reason a little bit more, you get a whole lot more of it. You get a lot of weird going on. So whereas it's something, I think it's something tied into my internal house battery system. You got to remember, if you're unaware, this whole stream is done in a complete off-grid setting. I'm in the back of a van right now, and we're running everything off of 12-volt batteries. And I think occasionally there's some weird artifacts with with other elements. It might be because I'm charging a laptop. I don't know. If I pull that out, maybe it'll solve something.
Your screen is looks really low quality. It looks like
which one? The Jitsi screen has just this little webcam.
Yeah.
But the live stream itself should be really high quality. It's just there's something funky going on with the camera. Is picking up a lot of signal interference.
Yeah, the YouTube output looks pretty good.
Yeah, the YouTube output should be fine. But yeah, it's not flashing lights. Like right now, that one looks to be flashing. Just there's something with the wave input on the camera right now. I don't know.
Yeah, the YouTube looks good.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
Yeah, on the YouTube, we can kind of see some grilled cheese sandwich stuck in your beard.
Oh, dear. That's odd because I didn't have grilled cheese sandwich today. Man, that's been saved there for a couple months.
By the way, Sol Stennis on in the YouTube comments, the chat has suggestion for how to check.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. SS. I do remember that now. Yeah. Although that's usually how we search for applications, not check their versions. But yeah, I think that'll actually tell me the versions as well.
Yeah, and the apt command that uses checks for the version in the repository, not the one that is installed on your system. So this will show you if Debian have patched the version that they have on which version they are providing.
Yeah. No, Uncle Bonehead, it was not just an attack on systemd. But what it was is it was utilizing one of the features of systemd, i.e. conglomerating everything together on system startup to work.
Yeah, they were SSH doesn't depend on any compression, external compression program in order to work. But one of the functions that they use, Debian and RPM distros, they patch distributions who use systemd, they patch SSH, they patch something which make the function that they are using is a library in systemd, and this library has XZ as a dependency for a specific use case, which is very tiny, and not many people are using this specific function. But that is how the SSH got the compression backdoor.
Well, does SSH actually send compressed packets, or does it send raw data?
It compresses, but it doesn't depend on external another compression package in order to do this. They are doing this internally by themselves.
Yeah,
but it's part of the protocol.
Do an episode where just
I'm
type
just
in
trying to
random
do the link
No.
between the XZ and the SSH to see how they connect together.
Yeah, so that's happening. That's happening because it's piping it through the one application through systemd. That's why and how that's happening.
I mean, my limitations of networking is Warpinator, and that's it.
Yeah. So here's actually how can a compression utility manipulate a process such as security sensitive as SSH. So here's actually from the Wired article, which is a good explanation. Any library can tamper with the inner workings of an executable it is linked against. Often the developer of the executable will establish a link to the library that's needed to work properly. OpenSSH, the most popular SSH implementation, does not link the library, but Debian and many other Linux distributions adds a patch to link SSHD to systemd, a program that loads a variety of services during the system boot up. Systemd in turn links to libzima, and this allows XZ utilities to exert control over SSHD. So it sounds like a fundamental problem with systemd.
Yeah, and so I poked around in the GitHub bug issue tracker of the systemd, and they are aware of the problem. They were aware of the problem quite early, and they are in the next, as far as I understand, in the next release of System D, this specific bug will be fixed in System D, and they are working to fix so that distributions no longer need to use a patch in order to get SSH to work with System D.
Yep. So there you go. That's I think that's what we had for our notes.
If you got backdoor foreign material going into System D, that means you have the ability to execute a cron job that could be a backdoor thing.
Yeah, and this specific backdoor, the way it worked was that they would get a root login shell on the system that they try to log into.
Pacman QXZ will give you the version. Okay, excellent. Thank you for that, Black Death. Thank you, Black Death, for providing me the useful information. I love the usernames over here.
YouTube just went out again. There it goes.
Not on my end.
It's stopped for a minute. Now it's circling again.
Yeah, I have not dropped any frames.
Me neither.
So,
I'm buffering like no tomorrow.
Okay, so that then is going to be a YouTube issue.
Yeah.
Is everybody getting it?
Looking good here.
I think we're gonna wrap up the stream right here anyway. So
yeah,
I need to try and get out of this parking lot before too long, and we still need to do at least half-hour hangout afterwards. So.
Wow, the stream disappeared.
Uh-oh.
Stream is disappeared. So I think the lesson for today's stream is that we got lucky this time because this had the potential to be the biggest security problem for the entire internet. Yeah. And if they're doing this in one place, they are trying to do this other places. And this is why we need to look at open source software. And another reason to try and move away from the internet for everything, you know. Yeah. And one of the because this Gian user he had these fingers in others projects as well. One of the small projects that people might have heard of is the Linux kernel. He had a patch sent to the kernel mailing list, and they were in print. And they were in the process of checking it and so on. And then this happened, and one of the developers said that because they hadn't merged this in any of the Linux trees, it was just in one of the testing branches and so on. So they have frozen the code changes that this user had tried to get into the kernel. And I have a suspicion that they are not going to do this. And if it fixes a bug, they are going to cherry pick and fix it in another way. Yep, for sure. All right, I guess I have one more thing to mention before we jump off, just completely non-related to anything. Since I stopped by a used DVD store today to look for a few things on my to-buy list, and I did ask them, are you seeing an uptick of DVD sales? And he says yes. There is an uptick of DVD sales because people are getting a little bit leery about what's going on with the streaming services, which Best Buy picked a really bad time to stop selling DVDs, because I walked through a Best Buy today and they still had the racks up for selling movies, but they were all empty. So it's like a giant empty DVD rack in the middle of Best Buy when DVD sales are actually starting to go up again. So very interesting. But actually one of the pawn shops I was in Roanoke did not sell DVDs anymore, which is sad because they had like hundreds last year. But oh well. Well, we're going to wrap this up here. We'll do our off-air hangout for the supporters here as soon as we jump off here. So if you want to hang out afterwards and you're a supporter, that link will be on whatever network you're supporting on. So you can jump on and hang out. And let's just double check that there's not one last final comment. Finally, YouTube broken, Odyssey working fine. Yeah. There you go. Let's see. Yeah, I think we got everything done. So tomorrow, weekly news roundup, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is exactly this time tomorrow for the weekly news roundup. We'll catch you guys next time. See you later.